Have you ever wondered what it takes to truly live a life of compassion, peace, and resilience? The Dalai Lama, Tenzin Gyatso, the 14th incarnation, embodies just that. He is a symbol of love, endurance, and profound wisdom. Born on July 6, 1935, and recognized at the age of 2 as the reincarnation of the 13th Dalai Lama, he has lived a life most of us can only imagine. Now at the age of 89 in 2024, he continues to inspire millions around the world, not merely through his teachings but by the very essence of his life, a life that exemplifies compassion, forgiveness, and inner peace. What can we learn from such a life? So much more than we often realize. The health and longevity of the Dalai Lama are nothing short of extraordinary. Imagine rising each day at 3 a.m. to meditate for several hours, dedicating that time to cultivating a mind free of anger, fear, and jealousy. His longevity is a testament not just to his physical health but to the enduring spirit of his philosophies, to his relentless commitment to a life of service. Doesn't this make you wonder how our own lifestyle choices can impact not only our years but the quality of those years? In July 2024, the Dalai Lama underwent knee replacement surgery in New York. Despite rumors about his deteriorating health, he has expressed feeling strong and recovering well. This resilience speaks to the power of a mindful approach to life. He takes care of his body through regular exercise like yoga and daily walks, and he nourishes it with a balanced, mostly vegetarian diet. Yet, what stands out most is his commitment to emotional well-being. Can we too learn to replace anger and anxiety with compassion and love? Imagine how much more fulfilled our lives could be if we did. Beyond his physical practices, the Dalai Lama teaches us that true health is about maintaining a positive mindset. He reminds us that negative emotions only drain us: anger, hatred, jealousy. They all create an inner turmoil that manifests outwardly. Instead, he advocates for a warm heart, a heart that feels deeply for others, that embodies empathy and kindness. Isn't it fascinating how this simple shift in mindset can make a profound difference in our health and happiness? The Dalai Lama's influence isn't confined to Buddhist teachings. His message resonates with people from all walks of life. His commitment to non-violence and compassion has touched millions, especially as he advocates for human rights and the value of every human life. Even after being exiled from Tibet since 1959, he has never wavered in his belief that dialogue is the key to resolving conflict. How often do we, in our own lives, choose dialogue over confrontation? Perhaps we can learn from his unwavering commitment to peace and apply it to our daily interactions. He often speaks about the interconnectedness of all human beings, that we are all part of a greater whole. True happiness, according to the Dalai Lama, is found not in isolation but in connection. It's about contributing to others, about living with purpose beyond ourselves. Imagine if we all approached life with this same spirit of service. Could we create a world where compassion becomes the norm, rather than the exception? The Dalai Lama's teachings on emotional intelligence are profound. He believes that our ability to understand and manage our emotions is key to achieving inner peace. How often do we pause to reflect on our own emotions, to observe them without judgment and to learn from them? By cultivating this awareness, we can foster healthier relationships with both ourselves and those around us. It's not just about being happy, it's about being present, being open, and embracing every aspect of our humanity. Even in his late 80s, the Dalai Lama remains curious and open-minded, engaging in dialogues with scientists and scholars. His openness to learning, to understanding the links between ancient wisdom and modern science, is a reminder that life is an endless journey of discovery. Shouldn't we all aspire to be students of life, no matter our age? To stay curious, to embrace new ideas, and to grow beyond our comfort zones? His life offers us a powerful lesson, that longevity isn't simply about living longer, it's about living better. It's about waking up each day with a purpose that transcends our own needs, a purpose grounded in compassion and service. His enduring influence serves as a beacon, showing us that a life lived with love, kindness, and understanding is a life worth living. Imagine the world we could create if we all lived this way, with open hearts and an unyielding commitment to the well-being of others. The Dalai Lama's journey reminds us that resilience and joy are cultivated, not by avoiding pain or difficulty, but by embracing them as opportunities for growth. How do we handle the challenges in our lives? Perhaps it's time we began to see them not as obstacles but as teachers, as chances to deepen our capacity for compassion, both for ourselves and for others. In the end, his message is simple yet profound. True well-being comes from nurturing the mind, body, and spirit in harmony. By embracing compassion, mindfulness, and a lifelong desire to learn, each of us can strive to live healthier, more meaningful lives. Let us take inspiration from his life, and let it propel us toward a more compassionate world, a world where every action we take is a reflection of the love we wish to see. The Dalai Lama's story is one of resilience and strength in the face of adversity, but it is also a story of deep spirituality and unwavering commitment to one's principles. From the moment he was recognized as the reincarnation of the 13th Dalai Lama, his life took on a significance that transcended the ordinary. He was thrust into a role that carried immense responsibility, to be the spiritual leader of Tibet and a symbol of hope for millions. And yet, throughout his journey, he has remained humble, reminding us that he is just a simple Buddhist monk. This humility is one of the many qualities that endear him to people across the globe. The Dalai Lama often speaks about the power of the human mind and its potential to bring about both suffering and joy. He believes that by training our minds, we can transform our lives. This concept is at the core of Tibetan Buddhism, the idea that our thoughts shape our reality. When we cultivate positive thoughts, we create a positive reality. Conversely, when we dwell on negativity, we invite suffering into our lives. The Dalai Lama's teachings encourage us to take responsibility for our own happiness. Isn't it empowering to think that we hold the key to our own well-being? One of the most inspiring aspects of the Dalai Lama's life is his ability to find joy even in the midst of suffering. His exile from Tibet was undoubtedly a profound loss, but he has used that experience to spread a message of compassion and forgiveness. He often says that the Chinese authorities, who forced him into exile, are not his enemies but rather his teachers. They have given him the opportunity to practice patience and forgiveness on a level that few of us could imagine. How many of us can say that we view those who have wronged us as our teachers? It takes an extraordinary level of wisdom and compassion to adopt such a perspective. The Dalai Lama's teachings on forgiveness are particularly relevant in today's world, where conflicts and divisions seem to be ever present. He reminds us that forgiveness is not about condoning wrongdoing or forgetting the past. Rather, it is about letting go of the anger and resentment that can poison our hearts. Forgiveness is a gift that we give to ourselves, a way to free ourselves from the burden of negative emotions. Imagine how much lighter we would feel if we could let go of the grudges we hold. Could we find it in our hearts to forgive those who have hurt us, and in doing so, find peace within ourselves? Another central theme in the Dalai Lama's teachings is the concept of interdependence. He often speaks about how all beings are interconnected, and how our actions have a ripple effect on the world around us. This understanding of interdependence is at the heart of his compassion for all living beings. He recognizes that our happiness is tied to the happiness of others, and that by helping others, we also help ourselves. This idea is not limited to human beings, it extends to all forms of life. The Dalai Lama is a strong advocate for environmental protection, emphasizing that we must care for our planet not just for our own sake, but for the sake of future generations. How would our world change if we all embraced this sense of responsibility for one another and for the earth? The Dalai Lama's commitment to non-violence is another powerful aspect of his philosophy. He has consistently advocated for peaceful solutions to conflicts, even in the face of aggression. His approach is rooted in the belief that violence only begets more violence, and that true peace can only be achieved through understanding and dialogue. This commitment to non-violence has earned him admiration and respect from people of all backgrounds. In 1989, he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his efforts to promote peace and human rights. His message is clear: if we want to create a more peaceful world, we must begin by cultivating peace within ourselves. How often do we react with anger when faced with conflict? What if, instead, we chose to respond with compassion and a willingness to understand the other person's perspective? The Dalai Lama's life is also a testament to the importance of adaptability. Throughout his life, he has faced numerous challenges, political, personal, and spiritual. Yet, he has always found a way to adapt and thrive. His ability to remain flexible in the face of change is a reflection of his deep understanding of the impermanent nature of life. He often reminds us that change is inevitable, and that our suffering comes not from the changes themselves, but from our resistance to them. By embracing change and learning to flow with it, we can find a sense of peace even in the midst of uncertainty. How might our lives be different if we learned to accept change with grace, rather than resist it out of fear? The Dalai Lama's emphasis on secular ethics is another significant aspect of his teachings. He believes that compassion and ethical behavior are not limited to religious practice; they are universal values that can be embraced by people of all faiths, or none at all. His concept of secular ethics is based on the idea that all human beings share a desire for happiness and a wish to avoid suffering. By recognizing our shared humanity, we can build a more compassionate and just society. This message is particularly important in today's world, where religious and cultural differences often lead to conflict. By focusing on our commonalities rather than our differences, we can create a sense of unity and understanding that transcends boundaries. The Dalai Lama's engagement with the scientific community is another example of his openness and willingness to learn. He has participated in numerous dialogues with scientists, particularly in the fields of neuroscience and psychology, to explore the connections between meditation, compassion, and mental health. Through these collaborations, he has helped to bridge the gap between ancient wisdom and modern science, contributing to a greater understanding of the benefits of mindfulness and compassion for overall well-being. His willingness to engage with science is a reminder that spirituality and science are not mutually exclusive; they can complement and enrich one another. What might we discover if we approached life with the same openness and curiosity? The Dalai Lama's teachings also emphasize the importance of emotional hygiene. Just as we take care of our physical health, he believes that we must also take care of our emotional well-being. This involves regularly reflecting on our emotions, identifying negative patterns, and working to cultivate positive emotions such as compassion, gratitude, and joy. By practicing emotional hygiene, we can create a more balanced and peaceful state of mind. How often do we take the time to check in with ourselves emotionally? Could we benefit from making emotional well-being a daily priority, just as we do with physical exercise and nutrition? One of the most profound lessons we can learn from the Dalai Lama is the importance of living with purpose. He often speaks about the need to find a sense of meaning in our lives, a purpose that goes beyond our own personal desires and contributes to the greater good. For the Dalai Lama, this sense of purpose is rooted in compassion and service to others. He believes that true happiness comes not from material wealth or personal achievements, but from making a positive difference in the lives of others. Imagine how our lives might change if we shifted our focus from pursuing individual success to contributing to the well-being of others. Could we find a deeper sense of fulfillment and joy? The Dalai Lama's life is a powerful reminder that true happiness is not dependent on external circumstances, but on our inner state of being. Despite the challenges he has faced, exile, the loss of his homeland, and the pressures of being a spiritual leader, he has maintained a sense of inner peace and joy. This inner strength comes from his commitment to compassion, his practice of mindfulness, and his ability to see the bigger picture. He often reminds us that while we cannot always control what happens to us, we can control how we respond. By choosing to respond with compassion and understanding, we can create a sense of peace that is not easily shaken by external events. The Dalai Lama's teachings also highlight the importance of gratitude. He often speaks about the need to appreciate the simple things in life: a beautiful sunrise, the kindness of a friend, the warmth of the sun on our skin. By cultivating gratitude, we can shift our focus from what is lacking in our lives to what is abundant. This shift in perspective can have a profound impact on our overall well-being. How often do we take the time to appreciate the small blessings in our lives? Could we find more joy by focusing on what we have, rather than what we lack? The Dalai Lama's message is ultimately one of hope. He believes that despite the challenges we face, there is always the potential for positive change. He often speaks about the importance of education in creating a more compassionate world. By educating the heart as well as the mind, we can nurture the next generation to be more empathetic, understanding, and committed to the well-being of all. This vision of a more compassionate world is not just a dream, it is a possibility that each of us can contribute to by choosing to live with kindness and compassion in our own lives. In conclusion, the Dalai Lama's life and teachings offer us a blueprint for living a life of compassion, resilience, and purpose. His commitment to non-violence, his emphasis on emotional well-being, and his belief in the power of compassion to transform lives are lessons that resonate across cultures and generations. By embracing these principles, we can create a more peaceful and compassionate world, a world where each of us takes responsibility for our own happiness and contributes to the happiness of others. The Dalai Lama's life is a testament to the power of love, understanding, and a positive mindset. Let us take inspiration from his journey and strive to live our lives with the same spirit of compassion and service. The Dalai Lama's life and teachings are an invitation to embark on a personal journey of growth and discovery, a journey that requires us to cultivate compassion, embrace our interconnectedness, and seek a deeper understanding of ourselves and others. Imagine for a moment what our world might look like if each of us committed to such a journey. We might find ourselves in a world where kindness is more common than cruelty, where understanding takes precedence over judgment, and where love is the guiding principle of all our actions. One of the key principles that the Dalai Lama often emphasizes is that our primary purpose in life is to help others. If we cannot help, at the very least, we should not harm. This guiding principle underpins his entire worldview, and it challenges us to consider our impact on those around us. Every day, we are presented with countless opportunities to make a positive difference: a smile to a stranger, a helping hand to someone in need, a moment of listening to someone who feels unheard. These small acts of kindness may seem insignificant, but collectively, they have the power to transform our world. What if we all made a conscious effort to help others, even in the smallest ways? Could we create a ripple effect of kindness that reaches far beyond our immediate circle? The Dalai Lama also speaks about the importance of inner peace as the foundation for a peaceful world. He believes that without inner peace, outer peace is impossible. Our world today is filled with conflict, between nations, communities, and individuals. But what if the root of this conflict lies within us? What if, by cultivating inner peace, we could contribute to a more harmonious world? Inner peace does not mean the absence of challenges or difficulties. It means developing the capacity to remain calm and centered even in the face of adversity. It means responding to life's challenges with compassion rather than anger, with understanding rather than fear. How might our relationships change if we approached them with a sense of inner calm and a genuine desire to understand the other person's perspective? Another profound teaching of the Dalai Lama is the concept of universal responsibility. He believes that we all share a responsibility for the well-being of our fellow human beings, regardless of our differences. This sense of universal responsibility extends not only to our fellow humans but also to all living beings and to the planet itself. We live in an interconnected world, and our actions have consequences that extend far beyond ourselves. By adopting an attitude of universal responsibility, we can begin to make choices that are not only beneficial to us but also to others and to the planet. Imagine if we all made decisions with the well-being of the entire world in mind. How might that change the way we live our lives, the products we consume, the way we treat one another, and the way we care for the earth? The Dalai Lama's dedication to non-violence is rooted in his deep belief in the sanctity of all life. He often reminds us that every living being has the right to live a happy and fulfilling life, free from suffering. This belief in the value of all life has led him to become a strong advocate for animal rights and environmental protection. He recognizes that the suffering of animals and the destruction of the environment are not separate from the suffering of humanity, they are all interconnected. By treating all living beings with respect and compassion, we create a more harmonious world for everyone. How would our world change if we extended our compassion to all beings, not just to those who are like us? Could we create a world where all life is respected and cherished? Education is another area where the Dalai Lama has had a significant impact. He often speaks about the need for an education that not only imparts knowledge but also fosters compassion and ethical behavior. He believes that true education is not just about developing the intellect but also about nurturing the heart. By educating the heart, we can create a generation of individuals who are not only knowledgeable but also empathetic and committed to making the world a better place. Imagine if our education systems prioritized compassion and ethical values alongside academic achievement. Could we nurture a generation that is better equipped to address the challenges of our time, poverty, inequality, environmental degradation, with empathy, creativity, and a deep sense of responsibility? The Dalai Lama's engagement with the scientific community reflects his belief that science and spirituality can work together to benefit humanity. He has participated in numerous dialogues with scientists, particularly in the fields of neuroscience and psychology, to explore the impact of meditation and compassion on the brain and overall well-being. These dialogues have not only contributed to a greater understanding of the benefits of mindfulness but have also helped to bridge the gap between ancient spiritual wisdom and modern scientific inquiry. The Dalai Lama's willingness to engage with science is a reminder that the pursuit of truth is not limited to any one discipline, it is a shared endeavor that requires openness, curiosity, and a willingness to learn from one another. What might we discover if we approached life with the same openness and willingness to learn from those with different perspectives? The Dalai Lama's teachings also encourage us to reflect on our own motivations and intentions. He often speaks about the importance of cultivating a pure heart and acting with good intentions. He reminds us that our actions are not just about what we do but also about why we do it. When our actions are motivated by genuine compassion and a desire to benefit others, they have the power to bring about positive change. On the other hand, when our actions are driven by self-interest or a desire for recognition, they often lead to suffering, for ourselves and for others. By cultivating pure motivations and acting with integrity, we can create a life that is not only fulfilling but also deeply meaningful. How often do we take the time to reflect on our own motivations? Could we bring more intentionality and integrity to our actions, and in doing so, create a more positive impact on the world around us? One of the Dalai Lama's most powerful messages is the idea that love and compassion are necessities, not luxuries. He believes that without love and compassion, humanity cannot survive. These qualities are not just feel-good emotions, they are essential for our well-being, both as individuals and as a society. Love and compassion are what connect us to one another, what give our lives meaning, and what allow us to overcome the challenges we face. They are the foundation of a happy and fulfilling life. Imagine if we all made love and compassion the guiding principles of our lives. How might that change the way we interact with one another, the choices we make, and the world we create? The Dalai Lama's life is a testament to the power of resilience. Despite the challenges he has faced, being forced into exile, the loss of his homeland, and the ongoing struggle for Tibetan autonomy, he has remained committed to his values of compassion, non-violence, and service to others. His resilience is not just about enduring hardship, it is about transforming adversity into an opportunity for growth, learning, and positive change. He reminds us that true resilience is not about avoiding pain but about embracing it and using it as a catalyst for personal and collective transformation. How do we respond to the challenges in our own lives? Could we, like the Dalai Lama, find a way to transform our difficulties into opportunities for growth and service to others? The Dalai Lama's teachings on the nature of happiness are also deeply insightful. He often speaks about the difference between temporary pleasure and genuine happiness. While temporary pleasure is fleeting and often dependent on external circumstances, genuine happiness comes from within. It is a state of being that is cultivated through compassion, mindfulness, and a sense of purpose. The pursuit of temporary pleasure often leads to a cycle of craving and dissatisfaction, while the cultivation of genuine happiness brings about a deep sense of fulfillment and contentment. How often do we find ourselves caught in the pursuit of temporary pleasures, only to find that they leave us feeling empty? Could we shift our focus from seeking external validation to cultivating inner contentment, and in doing so, find a deeper sense of happiness? The Dalai Lama also emphasizes the importance of balance in our lives. He believes that a balanced life is essential for our well-being, a balance between work and rest, between self-care and caring for others, between pursuing our own goals and contributing to the greater good. In today's fast-paced world, it is easy to become overwhelmed by the demands of work, family, and society. But the Dalai Lama reminds us that true well-being comes from finding a balance that allows us to thrive in all aspects of our lives. How often do we take the time to reflect on the balance in our own lives? Could we make small adjustments that would allow us to live more harmoniously and with greater well-being? The Dalai Lama's teachings are ultimately about the potential for each of us to create a better world, a world where compassion, understanding, and love are the guiding principles of our actions. He believes that each of us has the power to make a positive difference, no matter how small. By cultivating compassion in our own hearts, by treating others with kindness, and by acting with integrity, we can contribute to a more peaceful and just society. The Dalai Lama often says that the responsibility for creating a better world lies with each of us. It is not the responsibility of governments or leaders alone, it is the responsibility of every individual. Imagine the world we could create if each of us took that responsibility to heart and made a commitment to live with compassion and integrity. In conclusion, the Dalai Lama's life and teachings offer us a profound and inspiring vision of what it means to live a meaningful life. His commitment to compassion, non-violence, and service to others is a reminder that true happiness and fulfillment come not from what we achieve for ourselves but from what we contribute to the well-being of others. His resilience in the face of adversity, his dedication to lifelong learning, and his belief in the power of love and compassion to transform lives are lessons that resonate across cultures and generations. By embracing these principles, we can create a more peaceful, compassionate, and just world, a world where each of us takes responsibility for our own happiness and contributes to the happiness of others. The Dalai Lama's life is a testament to the power of love, understanding, and a positive mindset. Let us take inspiration from his journey and strive to live our lives with the same spirit of compassion, resilience, and service. The Dalai Lama's message is clear: we all have the potential to make a difference, to contribute to the well-being of others, and to create a more compassionate world. It starts with each of us, with the choices we make, the actions we take, and the love we bring into our lives and the lives of others. Let us take up this challenge, let us be the change we wish to see, and let us create a world where compassion is the norm, where love is abundant, and where every individual is valued and respected. The journey may not always be easy, but it is a journey worth taking, a journey that leads to a life of meaning, purpose, and profound joy.